First of all, thank you to all of the witnesses here today. Many of you have referenced the dire infrastructure needs across the north, and of course how it impacts the work that you do. You've talked about the impacts on cost of shipping. You've also talked about how climate change is hitting the north. As anyone working in Manitoba knows, First Nations across the east side of Manitoba have worked tirelessly over a number of years to try and realize long-term infrastructure solutions, specifically the construction of an all-weather road. I want to acknowledge that Bloodvein and Barons River First Nation were able to get the road built before the provincial government cut the program, and of course the federal government stepped away as well. Now, of course, the Northwest Company would know the circumstances or the work that First Nations have done on this front, because you have stores in every single one of these communities that are still fighting for an all-weather road. Pungassi, Little Grand Rapids, Poplar River First Nation, St. Teresa Point, Garden Hill, Wasagamak, Red Sucker Lake, Oxford House, God's Lake Narrows, and God's River. All of these First Nations were slated to build all-weather roads themselves, along with the work of others. And of course, it's been devastating to not have that project come to fruition, because we know climate change has hit hard. We, further isolating these communities. We know that the COVID crisis has also exacerbated isolation and has had impacts in terms of food insecurity. So I guess my question to Northwest Company reps, I mean, the goal of this meeting is to bring forward recommendations to the federal government, and of course it's important to have recommendations that are in line with what First Nations are calling for, and recommendations that really look towards the long-term well-being of these communities. So would you support the call of Eastside First Nations for federal and of course provincial government, but of course the focus here is the federal government, support for the construction of an all-weather road along the east side of Lake Winnipeg, and as a way of dealing with food insecurity and overall well-being?
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Ashton, for the question. So what I would say is we would support any infrastructure investment, including the projects you have mentioned, that would address the underlying costs of operating north in food security. So obviously all-weather road access is one, but there are other forms of infrastructure investment that are just as important for the northern communities that we serve. One example would be the move to renewable or more reliable sources of energy. One example I can share with you is in Pekanchikam, the move from diesel generated power to line power has made a huge improvement in the benefits, in the food security of that community, because they have much less breakdowns now, fewer brownouts, and therefore less wear and tear on their appliances and houses, right? That's one example. Another example would be the investment in, for example, community freezers in the north, so that local food and local food production can be used as part of the food sources. So yes, we would support, and we do definitely would be part of, we would support any form of infrastructure investment, especially a broad infrastructure investment program that really addresses the underlying issues I've highlighted around income security and food insecurity.
I appreciate that. And of course, all of these First Nations I just referenced are already on the hydro line. So really the need for an east side road is top of mind, and I reference Pungassi. This is a First Nation that received national attention during the COVID crisis. They don't have an all-weather road, and a acute COVID patient ended up waiting 17 hours for a helicopter to land on the ice. I mean, these conditions are just, I think we can agree, unacceptable. And whether it's in terms of food security or broader life and death issues, there needs to be a long-term solution here. I appreciate your response on that.